My name is Chris. This happened years ago, and it's something I had completely forgotten until recently. I was 17 that summer, working night shifts at a pizza place out on the edge of my old hometown. I wasn't exactly thrilled to be there, but I had no money, and two parents who would have lost their minds if I was jobless, so I couldn't complain. It was the kind of job you take when no one else is hiring. Slow nights. Sticky uniforms. A beat-up delivery car that coughed and groaned going up hills. At least I didn't have to drive my own car, would have been worse. Oh, and not that it really matters, but I should say the pizza was horrible. Like, genuinely disgusting. I never understood why anyone would actually order from us. I still don't. If it weren't for the tech we used or the semi-decent interior, I don't think we would have gotten a single customer. That place, it's definitely not something I miss about my hometown. And that's saying something. The only good thing was that, since the pizza was trash, and we were so far from everything, barely anyone ever ordered, most nights were dead quiet. I won't bore you with the usual routine. It was a pizza place, you can fill in the blanks. One night, I was restocking the fridge with drinks when the tablet buzzed with an online order. Large sausage and olive pizza. I remember it clearly because we never got olives. The address was way out there, past the usual delivery zone. I was about to reject it automatically when Russell, the manager, some 30-something guy who mostly sat in the back scrolling, read it, looked over, and told me to take it. Said we hadn't had a single delivery in over an hour. I didn't argue. When the pizza was ready, I put the address into my phone and grabbed the box. I figured it at least burned 30 or 40 minutes, just before heading out. I glanced at the delivery instructions Russell had stapled to the box, hadn't noticed them before. They said, "Park on the street behind the house. Walk through the backyard. Knock on the back door only." That made me pause. But my 17-year-old brain tried to make sense of it. Maybe they didn't want to wake an old person or a baby. Maybe the front door was under renovation. Maybe someone didn't want their parents to know they ordered. Could have been anything. Honestly, the night was dragging, and I didn't want to spend it folding greasy boxes, so I shrugged it off. But the second I stepped outside, I started to feel weird. It was one of those thick summer nights, hot, wet, and still. Like even the air was stuck. Everything felt like it was moving through syrup. And the smell, stale, sour humidity, mixed with sun-baked plastic and dirt. That smell makes my skin crawl. I had the windows down for 2 minutes before giving up and cranking the AC. The address wasn't downtown. In fact, it was the opposite direction. And the pizza place was already kind of in the middle of nowhere. The drive was supposed to be 25 minutes, but it felt longer with how empty the roads were. Not like there weren't any houses, but they got more and more spread out as I drove. When I got there, I realized I was behind the house. The GPS had taken me down a narrow side road that hugged the backyards. No streetlights, no porch lights, just shadows swallowing everything. I slowed down, double-checked the house number. It looked completely dead. No lights inside, no cars in the driveway. Just a sagging backyard with weeds waist-high and a broken old fence that barely stood up. But I followed the instructions. I parked on the gravel, grabbed the pizza, and walked up the small hill toward the back door. One hand on the pizza box, the other holding my flashlight, aimed down so I wouldn't trip. At the top, I saw the door. One of those old white ones, with a small glass pane at the top, and a cheap curtain behind it. I knocked. Waited. No answer. Knocked again. My manager would have flipped if I came back without payment. Still no response. I was about to knock a third time when the curtain twitched, just a little, like someone brushed it with a fingertip. It was quick. So quick I might have missed it if I wasn't staring straight at it. I froze. Someone was standing right there, on the other side of the glass. But they didn't open the door. I stood there a few more seconds, heart starting to tap faster in my chest, and then I saw movement behind me. 2 unmarked cars pulled up behind mine on the side street. No sirens, no lights. My stomach dropped. One of the car doors opened and a man stepped out, the other car's headlights. I saw him clearly. He wasn't in uniform, just regular clothes. But he raised his hand and gestured for me to come over. So I did, slowly, thinking maybe he lived there or had just gotten home. As I got closer, I saw it. A badge. He was an undercover cop. Once I was close enough, he didn't say much. Just told me to go back to my car and wait. That was it. So I did. I backed away, climbed inside, locked the doors, and sat there. Then I noticed more figures, more flashlights, more movement. 5 officers, maybe more, crept around the property like shadows. No one said a word. They didn't knock, didn't announce themselves, just moved quietly, carefully, like something wasn't supposed to hear them. One of them reached the same back door I just knocked on. He tried the handle, it didn't budge. He nodded at someone and stepped back. I was watching something I clearly wasn't meant to see. The first officer returned to my window. I rolled it down. He glanced at the pizza box on the seat, let out a short sigh, then crouched next to the door. His voice was calm, but tight. He told me the property was part of an active investigation. The officers were staking it out. He apologized for not stopping me sooner, saying I had shown up right as they were repositioning their cars. I offered to show him the delivery info. He nodded. I pulled it up on the app. The name was Jerry. There was a phone number and the address. That was it. He jotted the number down, then told me, "Leave, now." I started to protest. Said my manager would freak out if I came back with the pizza. He just shrugged, repeated the order, walked away. I was angry, confused, but I left. The entire ride back, my thoughts spiraled. It didn't fully hit me until I stepped out of the car again. If the police hadn't been there, if I had arrived 5 minutes earlier, what would have happened? The more I thought about it, the more it unsettled me. Maybe whoever was inside didn't open the door because they saw the cops. Maybe I had been bait a test, a way to check if that side of the house was being watched. The curtain, the silence, the exact timing, I'll never know. And honestly, there's no point in thinking about it too much. I would have forgotten all about it if a friend from high school hadn't brought it up the other week. At first, I didn't even remember it had happened. Maybe it's best I forget again. But before that happens, I thought I'd share it here. This happened just last year. I'm 40 now, married, and a father of 2 boys, Jordan, who's 7, and Scott, who's 5. I work in insurance, which is every bit as boring as it sounds. Glad we're stable. That's all I care about at this point in my life. A couple years ago, my dad passed away after a long fight with cancer, left behind a beach house down in Delaware. I had never even been to it before because he rented it out year-round. It's not big or fancy, but it's in a perfect spot, just 1 block off the boardwalk. My favorite part of it is the upstairs back deck. From there, you get this beautiful view of the ocean. It's peaceful in a way that's hard to explain. After my dad died, we started using the house every summer. A weekend here, a full week there. It became our little family tradition. As much as my wife and I love the escape, the boys love it even more. They can spend the entire day playing on the beach, riding bikes, exploring every little corner of the town. It honestly feels like a gift, like something my dad left behind for us to enjoy even after he was gone. This story happened during one of those summer trips. It was last July. We'd gone down Sunday through Friday, trying to avoid the biggest crowds. By midweek, the beach was quieter, less traffic, calmer. I remember the night like it happened yesterday. It was Wednesday. The boys had knocked out around 9:30 after playing all day in the sun. My wife and I were sitting on the back deck, sipping wine and playing cards under a warm, still sky. Then Jordan, our older son, came outside. He looked uneasy. He said there was a scratching sound in his room that was keeping him awake. I glanced at my wife and set down my glass. I told her to hang tight while I checked it out. I figured it was nothing, just an old house making old house sounds. It's not like the place was new. Us boys don't share a room, so I didn't bother waking our younger son. I followed Jordan downstairs to his room. He pointed to the wall near his bed, holding up his finger and signaling for me to be quiet. We stood there together for a while. At first I didn't hear anything. But I didn't want him to feel like I didn't believe him, so I waited, listened harder. Then I heard it. Faint at first, but definitely there. Soft scratching sound, exactly like he said. Crouched down, put my ear to the wall. It didn't sound like an animal in the attic or something crawling outside. It sounded lower. It sounded like it was coming from inside the wall, down near the baseboards. And that's when I heard it. Breathing. Not animal breathing. Human. Deep. Slow, heavy breathing. I flinched back, instinctively muttering Jesus under my breath, not even realizing I'd said it aloud. And then, I'm not exaggerating this, I swear I heard the most guttural, angry scream I've ever heard in my life come from inside that wall. It hit me like a shockwave. My whole body froze. It wasn't just loud, it was wrong. Like something broken was trying to speak. A cold, primal panic washed over me. I grabbed Jordan's arm and yanked him out of the room. I sprinted down the hall to grab Scott, who was still fast asleep. I didn't even wait for him to open his eyes. I scooped him up in my arms and ran. My only thought was, get back upstairs. Get to my wife. Get outside. So I reached the base of the stairs. I yelled for her, panicked, breathless. And that's when I heard another scream. This one was closer. Much closer. I turned and I saw him. A man. Filthy. Wild-eyed. Charging down the hallway straight at us. I nearly lost my footing trying to get up the stairs while holding both boys, but we made it just barely. Stumbled onto the back deck, and I slammed the sliding door shut behind us. Not even 2 seconds later, he hit the glass full force. The whole door shook like it was going to explode. He started clawing at it like an animal, screaming, pounding, smearing something blood, dirt, I don't know what, across the glass. And he was shouting things. Horrible things. Things I can't even repeat. Things no one should hear. I threw my body against the door, trying to hold it shut. I screamed at my wife to take the boys and call the police. She grabbed them, pulled them back, covering their ears as they cried. I stayed there, pressing myself against the door, trying to block their view of this thing. His eyes were wild, like he wasn't human anymore, just rage and madness. I don't know how long I held the door shut, a minute? 5. It felt like I was there forever, barely holding him back. It took everything I had to keep the door closed. The guy didn't stop. He didn't tire. He just kept screaming and clawing. All I could think about was keeping my family safe. I was ready to fight him. The glass broke. I was ready to go down swinging. But just before it came to that, the police showed up. They must have come from the side of the house, because I saw 2 officers suddenly rush into the room behind the man. One tackled him to the ground. The other helped pin him down. They fought to restrain him as he shrieked and thrashed. The rest of the night blurred together. Once the man was in the back of the police car, the officers asked me what happened. I told them everything. We walked through the house together, trying to figure out how the guy had gotten inside the walls and how he'd gotten out so fast. That's when we discovered it. The house had a crawl space. I never knew it was there. There's a small entrance under the back porch, hidden unless you know where to look. From there, it leads into a standing crawl space along the foundation. There was another opening inside the house, through a loose panel in Jordan's closet. I had no idea. I never did a full inspection after I inherited the place. I didn't even refinish it, just started using it. A few days later, a detective called with more information. The man, he admitted everything. Said he'd been living in that crawl space for months. Found the entrance during the off-season, waited until someone returned. He said he was planning to hurt us that night, because in his own words, we were invading his new home. He'd been stealing food from our house, and even from nearby trash bins. We must have missed little things disappearing here and there. We didn't go back to the house for the rest of the summer. Not out of fear, out of trauma. I didn't want to make my wife or son step foot back there. I didn't argue. I hired a crew to completely seal the crawl space. Every entrance, every panel. Once that was done, I could finally breathe again. We've gone back this summer. Things feel mostly normal now, or at least as normal as they'll ever be again.